you're gonna ask me, do I regret homeschooling at this point? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is officially about halfway through the school year, our first year homeschooling. So I just wanted to share today what's been working, what's not been working, what I've been learning, some of the things I wish I knew before we got started. Do we regret this decision? All of those things, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Mariah. I run a real estate business here in Oregon. You might be watching this because I have another YouTube channel I've had for quite a while where I communicate with agents, and this particular YouTube channel is not for real estate agents. I wanted to create this new YouTube channel just to be able to have a creative outlet and talk about things that are not only in that niche that my business is in, if that makes sense. But at the brokerage that I'm with, I mentor agents all over the US and Canada. And something that I think is so cool is I have been getting reach outs every single week from agent after agent that are other women in real estate who are running their businesses at high levels all over the US and Canada, who are also homeschooling their kids. Kids of all ages. Many of them are, years and years ahead of me in this. I just talked to a really sweet gal that joined us at our brokerage last week who is homeschooling her kids, and they're both like at the end of their, homeschooling career, about to graduate high school. And I just think it's so cool. The Lord is literally setting me up with all these people, putting them in my path that I get to learn from too. And so maybe you're watching this and you have nothing to do with real estate, and that's fine. But maybe you are from that channel. So whether you are or you're not, welcome. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm excited to have a little chit chat discussion with you guys about this today. I always said my entire life, I said, I don't say never about anything except for this one thing, and that is the fact that I will never, ever, ever homeschool my kids. I said that long before I was ever a parent. Whenever I became a parent, I always said that, and that was a very firm, stubborn belief that I had. I did do an entire video, if you're curious about why we actually decided and how the Lord changed my heart on this. I did an entire video on this channel that you can find after this video. But let's just jump right in with the first thing. Something I've learned since beginning to homeschool is this: consistency in your homeschooling does not have to mean same place, same time. What I mean by that is this: my husband and I run a business together while homeschooling our daughter, and our days never look the same. Our days are almost never the same exact days over and over. And while I really work hard to protect my mornings, I'm at a point in my business where I'm grateful to be able to block out my mornings. I almost never book appointments until usually like 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon or later if I do have appointments, and I don't do them every day. So while we can control our schedule and block out mornings for the most part, our days still don't look the same every day. So the way it works for us is most of the time I do my homeschooling time with my daughter in the morning after our, morning routine. It's kind of just like the natural next step, or while we're eating breakfast, that kind of thing. That's usually when we do it. We do try to get it done in the morning and prioritize it in the morning. However, there are usually at least 1 or 2 days every single week where I'm looking at my schedule, the day before, and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to just work better tomorrow at a different point. It'll feel less rushed tomorrow if we don't do it in the morning. So what I've learned is this: having consistency in your homeschool does not mean you have to do the work, or your child has to do the work. You have to do the work with them at the same exact time and same exact place every single day, but it does mean you gotta live by a schedule, at least if your life looks anything like ours. I'm gonna be looking at my schedule and planning my day the night before, if not multiple days before, sometimes even a whole week ahead. I am planning out my entire day. I generally use time blocks to get things done throughout the day. So I will time block my time to get my work done. I will time block my, time to homeschool with my daughter, all of the other things. There are days when, like I said, there's usually a couple days throughout the week where I'm scheduling our homeschool time to happen at dinner time or at 8 p.m. even, as we're sitting in bed together. And I know that's not conventional, but the cool thing is my daughter is literally learning how to read just exactly the same as if she was, doing it the same time, same place. Like, I'm literally watching her learn so rapidly right in front of my eyes. I'm a very, results-oriented person, and I am seeing real results in her learning and the efforts that we're putting in. And it doesn't matter necessarily where it's happening or when it's happening, as long as it does happen. And if you're gonna do it this way, I really do believe you gotta live by a schedule, and you gotta put it in your schedule at least the day before, or it probably won't actually happen. We have homeschooled from the beach. We've homeschooled, while we're out of town on vacation, we homeschool. We've homeschooled her from the back of the car on really long car rides. Like I said, in bed before bedtime. And we are seeing the same exact results. She's learning how to read, she's learning her math, she's learning science, all these subjects she's learning just exactly the same, which is really, really cool to see. The next thing I've learned is this: rely on ChatGPT. You can get so much advice, and I'll talk a little bit about how I've done that, but there's something else you can rely on that's even better, and I'll share that in just a second as well. I think it is just so cool that we live in a day and age where we can take advantage of things like chat. My daughter and I were doing a read aloud of the classic book, Little Woman. I loved reading as a kid, but I never read classic books. Like, even the ones we were supposed to read in school, I don't think I ever actually read, like, cover to cover, a single one of them. However, I'm having so much fun getting to actually read and enjoy classic books now with my daughter. It's something we love doing together, sitting and drinking a cup of tea or date hot cocoa and doing our read aloud time. So we finished reading Little Women, and I asked ChatGPT, hey, we just got done reading this book for our homeschool. Can you give me a bullet point list of conversation questions to ask that a 5, almost 6-year-old little girl will understand and be on her level, that will actually teach her things, or these are our values, this is kind of what we want to teach her from this book. Can you give me a list of questions and like talking points basically to help us discuss this book? And it really delivered. It gave us some really awesome questions that were right on her reading level. And so I just think that is so cool. Something that's a really big priority for me is raising readers, because I've said this before, but I truly believe that almost every penny I've made in my business has come directly from a book that I've read. I did not go to college. I started my business right out of high school, but I did read and read and read and read and read, and I still do, and applied what I read to my business, and that is literally how I was able to start and run a successful business at a young age. So reading to me is a very big value that I want to pass on to my daughters. So a question that I asked Chat is, what are some ways I can motivate my daughter to want to learn how to read even more? So it's not just me, pushing her to want to be reading chapter books now, but she actually has that desire. And Chat gave me this idea of coming up with this little poster that I created. It just says, books I can read all by myself. And then I ordered a pack of stickers, and at the very end, she gets a prize. For us, I only give her a star if it's a book that pushes her, because there's a lot of small, like really, really, really easy level books we have that she can read. But in order to earn a star, it's gotta be a book that pushes her, that's outside of her comfort zone, that's harder than what she knows she can currently read, and then she gets a star for it. So this idea was from Chat. So yes, rely on Chat. It can be a really great resource for you. But you guys, do you want to know what an even better resource is? If you are a follower of Jesus, you have the Holy Spirit living in you, and you have literally a better search engine than ChatGPT living in you, which is the Holy Spirit. So what I've really, really tried to lean on in my homeschooling especially is asking Holy Spirit, how can I do this better? What should I do about this? How can I do this? And guys, He will deliver. Literally just this last week, I was kind of getting to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm stretching myself a little too thin. I feel like I'm maybe trying to do a little too much in my business, and I need to pull back, because homeschooling is my daughter. It's my number one commitment. And while I do have God-given goals and dreams and visions and things put into me that are important as well, like, I'm not going to do them at the expense of my daughter's, education and time with her and all of that. That it has to be taken care of first. And so I was just feeling like I was to the point of kind of getting into an area of, this is a little bit too much. We need to pull back. And so I asked Holy Spirit. I just said, hey, can you please tell me where can I cut out? What things can I cut out? What should I do? How can I do this better? Because I feel like I'm maybe doing a little bit too much. And just like the verse in Psalms where it says, I will bless the Lord who counsels me. Even at night, my heart instructs me, or even in bed or something like that, like laying in bed at night, my heart instructs me. The Lord is speaking to me. It says something like that, okay, in Psalms. And days, maybe even just a day, I don't know, less than a day, less than 24 hours. After praying that, I woke up in bed and was just laying there. And before I even got out of bed or really got thinking, I just had the answer I was asking for downloaded straight to me. Exactly, I just knew exactly what I needed to cut out of my business. And this cutting that thing out, it's only been a couple days, has actually been a really big blessing, and it's not something that's going to hurt my business. And I wouldn't have thought about it on my own. So the whole point in saying all of this is rely on chat, but also even more than you rely on chat, rely on the best search engine in the whole world, the Holy Spirit that lives inside of you. He literally says in his word, if we ask for wisdom, he will give it to us generously. So always ask, before you get to the point where you're like, maybe I shouldn't homeschool, this is too hard. Well, have you asked Holy Spirit for wisdom? Because if he told you to do this in the first place, then he's gonna give you wisdom to know how to do it well. And that's truly how I feel about running my business while homeschooling at the same time. And if he told me to do both, and he has very clearly, then if things are getting a little bit too hard, or maybe things aren't working as I think that they should, that doesn't just mean, okay, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, let's quit one of these things or both of these things. It means let's ask Holy Spirit, what can we tweak? And he's gonna tell you. The next thing I've been learning since I began this homeschooling journey with my family is it has been a really, really great opportunity to grow in love and weed some things out of my own heart personally. What I mean by that is this. When you make the decision to homeschool, initially you might imagine everybody is going to be clapping for you when you tell them and cheering you on and saying, oh my gosh, you're like here to change the world. What an amazing, beautiful, sacrificing thing that you are doing for yourself and your family and this whole planet, because you have a vision and you believe in it and you are trying to raise a world changer, and to you, this is like the most noble thing you could do. But then you go and tell people and you get some really crazy things people say, or just some things that they say about it that because you have met so many people who were, actually homeschooled all the way through, and you've done so much research, you've read so many books, you have a word from the Lord about it, they're wrong. And it's just absurd, the things that people sometimes say. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm very blessed to where honestly, like 99.99999% of the people in my life are extremely supportive of this. But even just the 1%, even if it's not someone you even know, like a random stranger, they are not supportive of it, it's a really good opportunity for you yourself to grow. I know there are personalities out there to where if somebody else is questioning your decision to homeschool, your ability to homeschool, or anything like that, it makes you question as well, and it makes you doubt or say oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I didn't hear from the Lord. But for me, when I hear from the Lord, it is very, 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 very difficult to change my mind. And when someone says something like that to me, it does not make me question myself. It makes me honestly go into this oh, screw you, or I'm gonna prove you, or you don't matter, screw you, just not a kind, this whole wall up, I guess you could say, where I'm kind of all right, I don't need you, see ya. That's naturally where my brain goes. And so it has been a really, really, really great opportunity to love people that maybe it feels like they're against you, or they're against what you feel so strongly about. And some of these things, they can really cut you, because you're I'm over here literally choosing the harder route. I'm making a lot of sacrifices in my life to do this, and I feel so strongly and so excited. I pray about it every day, how to do it well. I have so much vision and ideas and plans, and I have so much vision for this, and I'm literally doing it with the intention of intentionally raising world changers out of my home, and yet people are over here saying negative things about it, while when someone sends their kid to public school, they don't say anything negative, or even private school, they don't say anything negative. So my whole point is there's a lot of opportunities for your heart to be offended, whether it's someone you know and loves you, or it's a random stranger. And I'm not always great at this by any means, but I'm definitely learning to keep my heart soft and not let my heart get offended, and not let my heart get hardened, because we are not called to live that way. We're called to pour even more love onto those people that are, speaking lies about us, saying negative things about us, saying against us, opposing us, insulting us, hurting our feelings. We are supposed to pour even more love onto them and not let our hearts get hardened and offended by them. And I mean, it even says in the Bible, if you only love those who love you, what more are you doing? It's a really, really good opportunity to grow in the area of your heart, not letting your heart get hardened. If you have not read the book, Hold On to Your Kids, Why Parents Should Matter More Than Peers, I believe it's a pretty old book, but I could be wrong. I believe it's really old though. If you have not read it, I would highly recommend reading it. That's one of the things that I keep in mind when creating my schedule for my daughter. I definitely do not want her isolated. I can't have me isolated. I am a very social person, and so is she. We both have very high social needs. So we are out and about. We are seeing other humans. We are interacting with people every single day of the week. But I'm also trying to navigate the tension between not having her, with peers so much to the point where she needs other kids to, be entertained, and peers are the most important thing, but also having her around kids, extremely consistently and pouring into her friendships and nurturing and growing her friendships on a consistent weekly basis, because I know how important friendships are important to her, even though she's still young. And so we do keep consistency in our schedule as far as her time, I don't want to say socialization, but her time to let's just say friendship building her friendships, deepening her current friendships, and building new friendships for her. She has a handful of really great homeschool friends from Sunday school that she sees at least once a week, sometimes more. She has play dates with various different friends. Every single week she has play dates going on, and I'm intentional to schedule those into the week. She's involved in, different activities throughout the week, and that's another thing, that she's involved in different, sports and kids activities throughout the year, which is honestly, if you're gonna ask me, do I regret homeschooling at this point? One of the biggest blessings of homeschooling so far is the fact that my daughter is able to be involved in kids' classes, sports, activities, those type of things. After school hours, even sometimes during school hours and on weekends, and we still get a lot of time to pour into her and spend with her and be together as a family. And she also gets that free time as well, which I think is so awesome, because I know nowadays it's so normal for a normal schedule to be like, you wake up, you go to school, you come home, you have a quick meal together, and then you rush off to practice, you come home, you go to bed, you do it again the next day, weekends are for sports. And I know that's normal, but it's not for me. So that's one thing that I've really appreciated and loved so much about homeschool. I try to be so intentional with those times as well, to use those times where my daughter is in a sport, a class, an activity throughout the week. I am so intentional to use that time to work, so that when I'm with her, I can be fully present. And that means I know exactly what I have to do for my business before I'm getting there, and I have my checklist made, I've got my laptop ready, and as soon as her, dance class starts or whatever it is, I am getting to work checking things off the list. Lastly, I'll touch on our curriculum really quick. We are using the good and the beautiful this year, and I truly have been loving it so much. It is so simple but effective. The language arts, I paired it with some other learning to read things, which you can find more information to that on my channel, but I did pair it with some other things to supplement before we started it, but it really is truly teaching my daughter how to read. We got our science curriculum from the good and the beautiful as well, and my daughter genuinely loves learning. It's a lot of learning through stories at this age for science, and it's honestly teaching me things that I didn't know about science. So it's fun and engaging, but it's not too much work or prep or anything like that. I truly can't complain about the curriculum. We both really enjoy it. Okay, guys, the sun has officially gone down here in Oregon. We are completely losing daylight, and I got to get to my next appointment. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the thumbs up button. I never want these videos to be just me talking to you guys, and I genuinely want them to be a conversation. So let me know in the comments section, do you do any of these things? Did you learn anything from today's video? Let me know. Do you have any tips or advice from me? I am new at this. I want to hear your guys' tips and feedback. Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys soon.